All right, let's dive into the wild world of breakfast cereal preferences. We're going deep into a list from the top10s.com, top 10 favorite breakfast cereals.
Ooh, sounds intriguing.
You know what we're going to find? Strong opinions.
Oh, definitely. Strong opinions, passionate defenses. It's going to be fun.
Whether you're prepping for a cereal aisle showdown or just love a good breakfast debate, we're breaking down what makes these brands so iconic.
It's amazing how something as simple as breakfast cereal can tap into such deep emotions, cultural trends.
Absolutely. So let's hit the top three, the heavy hitters: Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Frosted Flakes, and Lucky Charms.
Okay, classics.
Reading through these comments, the love for Cinnamon Toast Crunch is strong. One person said, a dream of sweetness, sugar, cinnamon, and bright sunshiny mornings.
Wow, that's evocative. It's
Oh,
not just about the taste, right?
right. Then we've got Frosted Flakes. They're great. Delicious powdered sugar on top of healthy cornflakes. Trying to convince themselves it's healthy, huh?
Right. Classic health halo effect,
Mm-hmm.
highlighting that cornflake base. But it's interesting how our perception of healthy cereals has evolved, right?
Definitely. What was considered healthy a few decades ago might not hold up today.
Totally. Now, for the cereal that sparks endless debate, Lucky Charms. One commenter said, all these other articles were fake.
Mm.
How could someone overlook the difference in textures? Sweet marshmallows and crunchy bits. Yin and yang.
A culinary symphony in your mouth.
It's not just taste, it's mouthfeel. The interplay of sensations, Lucky Charms gets that with those smooth marshmallows and the crunchy cereal.
Okay, so we've got this three cereal titans: Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Frosted Flakes, and Lucky Charms. Why are they so enduringly popular? Just nostalgia or something more?
I think nostalgia plays a part for sure, especially for those who grew up with these cereals. They bring back comfort, familiarity,
Good connection to childhood.
but there's more. They're masters of simplicity, straightforward flavors. Cinnamon sugar, sugar on cornflakes, sugary marshmallows.
No, you're right. They keep it simple.
And then the marketing, catchy jingles, colorful mascots, those memorable slogans, all that contributes.
They worm their way into our brains.
They become ingrained in our culture, almost like archetypes of breakfast cereal itself.
Speaking of archetypes, let's talk about the cereal that's so divisive. Raisin Bran, old reliable, one person called it. Another just said, I hate Raisin Bran. A litmus test.
Raisin Bran challenges our expectations of cereal. It's not super sweet, no cartoon mascot, often associated with health and regularity. Not always the most appealing.
Like the anti-cereal cereal.
Yeah. But it has its devoted fans.
Definitely.
They love that honest simplicity, that slightly sweet, earthy flavor, the texture.
Reminds us that taste is subjective. What one person finds bland can be comfort food to another.
Absolutely. And sometimes, we develop a taste for something based on our experiences.
Mhm.
One commenter said they used to love it, then I had to eat it for 2 weeks straight.
Yeah.
Now, can't stand it.
The power of context, right. Our relationship with food can change over time. Speaking of which, let's talk about a cereal that's both loved and feared. Cap'n Crunch, superior taste and texture, someone said, but you gotta limit the intake to avoid the sweetness overload.
Oh, Cap'n Crunch notorious for that.
It's like someone even compared it to a lashing in the mouth. Why do we do it to ourselves? The forbidden fruit effect.
I think it's more than that. There's a thrill in pushing boundaries, experiencing those intense sensations, even a little pain.
So it's like spicy food. We know it might burn, but
Exactly. It's about that pleasure outweighing the risk. We're not always rational when it comes to food.
definitely driven by emotions, cravings, not just logic or nutrition.
Exactly.
Okay, now let's talk about those underdogs, those cereals fighting for attention. Fruity Pebbles, Apple Jacks, Reese's Puffs.
All trying to make their mark.
In such a crowded market, what helps a cereal stand out?
It needs that unique selling proposition. What makes it different? Is it the flavor, the texture, mascot, marketing? Something that grabs you and makes you want to try it.
And it has to deliver on the hype.
Absolutely. Otherwise, people won't be back for more. That's where word of mouth is key.
Right, those recommendations from friends.
It's like that saying, advertising is what you pay for, publicity is what you pray for.
Exactly. Especially in today's world, a viral video, a good online review can make a huge difference.
Huge.
Speaking of good reviews, Fruity Pebbles seem to have a devoted fan base. Someone said their addictive quality is surreal.
Oh yeah, Fruity Pebbles, all that sweetness, those bright colors. It's a party in a bowl.
And then there's Apple Jacks, all about those little moments of delight. One person talked about finding 4 to 6 Apple Jacks stuck together right when you open the bag.
Yes. It's those little unexpected surprises that can make a cereal memorable, right? Like finding a treasure.
And Reese's Puffs, apparently delicious even without milk.
Wow. Now that's dedication. Shows a powerful flavor that stands on its own. But, it points to how cereal isn't just for breakfast anymore.
People snacking on it, using it in recipes.
It's become a culinary chameleon, adapting to different tastes and occasions.
Okay, before we move on, what about those sleeper hits? Those lesser-known cereals that people might be sleeping on? Any recommendations?
So many hidden gems out there. Be adventurous and try new things. You never know what you'll discover.
Okay, good advice. So we've talked champions, the love-hate spectrum, texture, the underdogs. Now let's talk about the power of nostalgia. It drives so many of our choices.
Nostalgia is so powerful. It transports us back, brings back memories, happy times, influences our preferences today.
This list highlights some blasts from the past. Count Chocula, Honey Nut Cheerios, Cocoa Puffs. Someone even said about Count Chocula, to bring it out only during Halloween is a sin.
That limited edition strategy, so smart, creates scarcity and urgency. It makes it even more desirable.
And when you tie it to a holiday, bam, nostalgia overload.
It's like they've bottled up a piece of our childhood.
Selling it back to us.
We're willing to pay a premium for those memories. Think about all the retro brands making a comeback. It's more than the product itself.
It's those emotions, that connection to the past.
Exactly. But nostalgia can vary even within a brand, like Honey Nut Cheerios. It's been around forever, but some have specific memories tied to certain variations or marketing campaigns.
Right, different eras.
Nostalgia isn't just about the product. It's the whole experience.
Mm-hmm.
The commercials, the jingle, the bowls we ate from.
A sensory time capsule.
Exactly.
Before we move on, I gotta ask about Cookie Crisp. Seems like a bit of a wild card when it comes to nostalgia.
Ah, Cookie Crisp. It dared to be different. Indulgence and fun, like having cookies for breakfast. Radical for the time.
Someone said they only got it on special occasions like birthdays, Christmas. It was treated like a dessert.
That shows how cereals changed. What was once a wholesome breakfast has evolved to include so many more flavors, experiences.
And Cookie Crisp led the charge.
Definitely. It blurred those lines between breakfast and dessert, paving the way for those more indulgent cereals, like Oreo O's and Donut cereal.
Speaking of indulgent, let's talk Cocoa Puffs. Someone said, the best part is the chocolate milk left over in the bowl.
A classic. It's a whole ritual. It's not just the cereal. It's that anticipation of the chocolatey milk at the end.
The reward, right. But it also shows how our view of milk's changed. It
Yeah.
used to be essential. Now it's optional for some.
That's true. Reflects the rise of plant-based milks, awareness of lactose intolerance.
The cereal aisle, it's like a snapshot of our changing food culture.
A microcosm, yeah.
Okay, gotta ask about Trix. Seems to evoke strong opinions.
Trix, a pioneer in marketing to children.
Someone said they were forbidden from eating it as a kid. Now they can only find it online, like forbidden fruit.
That forbidden fruit idea, such a powerful tool, creates desire, makes it seem more appealing. And for Trix, it taps into that childhood rebellion.
Nostalgia with a side of mischief.
Exactly. A very successful strategy.
Okay, let's talk about a cereal that seems to appeal to everyone, Honey Bunches of Oats. Someone described it as a perfect balance of sweet and healthy, good mix of flavors and textures.
Honey Bunches of Oats is a great example of evolving with the times. Started simple, but over time, they added new ingredients, flavors, texture,
Keeping up with those changing preferences.
and they balanced those indulgences with the perception of health benefits.
Yeah.
Sweet and crunchy, but also whole grains, fiber, nuts.
Makes you feel less guilty.
Right, appealing to both sides. Indulgence and healthy choices.
Smart. And it's working. They're always a top seller.
Shows you can have your cake and eat it too. At least when it comes to cereal.
Now let's talk about a newcomer making waves. Crave.
Crave is interesting. It's a shift towards more gourmet, indulgent options. Experimenting with flavors and textures. Clearly targeting a more sophisticated palate.
Someone called the double chocolate crave practically indescribable, pushing the boundaries of what cereal can be.
Absolutely. And they're not afraid of chocolate.
Yeah.
A universally loved flavor gives it that decadence that elevates it beyond the average cereal.
Blurring the lines between cereal and dessert again.
Right. We see more cereals doing that, like incorporating cookie flavors, candy bar pieces, even cake flavors.
It's like the cereal aisle mirrors how the lines are blurring between meals and snacks in general. We snack more, we want snacks that are satisfying, but also, feel okay to eat.
And cereal ticks those boxes. It's portable, affordable, and comes in so many flavors.
Speaking of a variety of flavors, we gotta circle back to Raisin Bran. Love it or hate it, it always sparks strong reactions.
A true classic, love it or hate it food. Bland and boring for some, Simple and wholesome for others.
One person called it old reliable, praising its earthy taste and tangy raisins. In a world of flashy cereals, it's like that comfortable friend you can always count on.
There's definitely something to be said for that sense of familiarity and comfort. In a world that's constantly changing, it's nice to have something that stays the same.
A culinary security blanket.
I like that. But it's also interesting how Raisin Bran has stayed relevant despite all the newer, trendier cereals. What's the key to its longevity?
Good question.
I think it's a few things. Brand recognition. Raisin Bran's been around forever. People trust it. Then there's the perceived health benefits. High in fiber and whole grains, which are important to people these days. And of course, there's nostalgia. Lots of people grew up with Raisin Bran and have those fond memories.
It's woven into our food history.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's powerful.
All right, before we move on, I wanted to mention another classic that got some interesting comments. Frosted Mini Wheats. One person declared their undying love, another specifically praised the chocolate flavor, but then someone else said the original is better than the chocolate. It seems like even within a single brand, there's room for different tastes.
Definitely. It reminds us that taste is subjective. What one person loves, another might find just okay or even dislike.
And that's what makes this whole exploration so fun. It's not just about ranking cereals, it's about those deeper meanings and connections we have with food.
It's about the psychology of taste, the power of marketing, the influence of nostalgia.
Let's keep going. Next up, a couple of blasts from the past that are still going strong. Cocoa Pebbles and Cinnamon Life.
Two classics, each with their own personality. Cocoa Pebbles, that chocolatey crunch, and Cinnamon Life, that warm, comforting flavor.
Someone said they turn to Cocoa Pebbles whenever they have a chocolate kick.
Understandable. Cocoa Pebbles delivers on the chocolate carrot. And it's interesting, they compare the texture to other cereals, mentioning the small rice cereal as a nice change from puffballs and flakes, looking for a specific experience.
Then there's Cinnamon Life, which one person described as being as old as the pioneers.
If that's true, it really speaks to its lasting appeal.
Yeah.
It's clearly stood the test of time.
And they compare it to Reese's Puffs and Peanut Butter Crunch. Seems like there's a whole category of cereals for those who want dessert for breakfast.
Definitely. And Cinnamon Life holds its own. It's a classic combo that still resonates.
Speaking of competition, let's talk about a cereal trying to make a comeback. Rice Krispies Treats cereal. Someone said it's the best cereal ever. What do you think about this attempt to turn a beloved treat into a cereal?
Smart move. Marketing-wise, Rice Krispies Treats are already a big deal. Built-in brand recognition and nostalgia. Turning it into cereal opens it up to a whole new market.
Someone even raved about the noises its slogan lives up to when you put milk in it.
Haha, appealing to the sense of sound. That sensory marketing, it enhances the experience. That sound, the snapping, crackling, popping, it builds anticipation.
Creating a multisensory symphony in your bowl.
Exactly. That's what makes a cereal stand out. It doesn't just taste good, it engages all of your senses.
Okay, before we move on, I have to ask about Golden Grahams, a personal favorite.
Golden Grahams. The cereal that tastes like a graham cracker. What's not to love?
Someone said it's like eating a graham cracker, but with the added bonus of milk, taking a classic snack to the next level.
Golden Grahams definitely taps into that comfort, that familiarity. It's simple, straightforward, delivers on what it promises.
And so, versatile. Plain with milk in recipes. A Swiss Army knife of cereals.
I love that. It shows how cereal is breaking free from just breakfast. It's becoming an ingredient showing up everywhere, from cookies to trail mix to even savory dishes.
Cereal is breaking free, embracing its culinary potential.
Exactly. That's what makes it exciting. The possibilities are endless. Cereal, it's gone from a simple breakfast to, like, a culinary chameleon, huh?
It really has. And speaking of evolution, we got to talk about those cereals that have, like, almost mythical status, you know, like Berry Kicks. One person, they said they were a 90s kid and wondered if they even make it anymore.
That longing for a taste from the past, nostalgia at its finest, makes you wonder if it would live up to the hype if they did find it.
Maybe some things are better left as memories. Speaking of memorable cereals, we got to talk about those names that just, like, grab you bootios, for example. Someone pointed out the WWE collab wrestler Biggie Langston on the box.
That's thinking outside the box. Literally. Reaching new audiences. Makes you wonder what other unexpected collabs we'll see. Metallica Muesli. Beyonce Berry Burst.
Now that would be interesting. But let's get back to those cereals that have stood the test of time. We've talked a lot about sweet cereals, but what about those that are more like savory or wholesome?
Well, there's Cheerios, of course.
Yeah.
A classic for a reason. Simple, versatile, appeals to, like, everyone. And shredded wheat, can't forget that one.
The OG of healthy cereals.
Exactly. It's still going strong, you know?
Shredded wheat, it's like the dependable workhorse of the cereal aisle. Not flashy, but it gets the job done.
Exactly. There's something to be said for that consistency, like the comfort food of cereals.
But even comfort food can benefit from a little excitement, right? That's where Honey Nut Cheerios comes in, taking that classic base and adding a touch of sweetness.
Honey Nut Cheerios, a great example of how a brand can innovate but still stay true to its roots, adding new flavors over the years, but always that wholesome, family-friendly feel.
A good balance of tradition and innovation.
Not easy in a market that's always changing.
Speaking of change, let's talk about Frosted Flakes. They're reducing the sugar content. What do you think about that?
A sign of the times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Consumers are more health conscious. They want healthier options, even for their treats.
But it's risky, right? Frosted Flakes are known for being sweet. What if it alienates their fans?
It's a balancing act. Reduce the sugar enough to appeal to the health-conscious crowd, but not so much that you lose what makes a Frosted Flakes.
Like threading a needle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how people react. Will they like the healthier version or stick with the original?
Only time will tell, but it shows that even the biggest brands have to adapt to stay relevant.
Absolutely. It's not just about responding to changes. It's about anticipating what's next.
Speaking of what's next, what do you think is the future of cereal? Any big innovations or disruptions on the horizon?
I think we'll see more of that move towards healthier, more sustainable options. People are more aware of how their food choices impact their health and the planet. They want products that reflect their values.
So more plant-based ingredients, less packaging, more focus on where those ingredients come from.
Exactly. And more experimentation with flavors and textures. Cereal brands always want to keep things interesting, keep people excited. They're not afraid to try new things.
So maybe more cereals inspired by different cultures, more savory options, maybe some really wild flavor combinations?
Absolutely. The cereal aisle is becoming more adventurous, and that's a good thing.
Variety is the spice of life, as
Yeah.
they say. But no matter how much things change, I think there will always be a place for those classic cereals, the ones we grew up with.
I agree, nostalgia is powerful, and cereal brands know that.
Because in the end, a bowl of cereal is more than just breakfast, right? It's about memories, comfort, connection to our past.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
Something we can all relate to, no matter what kind of cereal we like.
Okay, we've talked about the evolution of cereal, nostalgia, branding, the future of the cereal aisle, but there's one thing we haven't really talked about.
Oh, what's that?
The milk. We can't talk cereal without talking about milk. They go together like peanut butter and jelly.
A perfect pair. But you're right, milk is a big part of the cereal experience for a lot of people. And just like cereal, milk has changed a lot lately.
Exactly. We've got plant-based milks, whole milk making a comeback, and more people thinking about where their milk comes from and how it's produced.
It's a complicated issue, and cereal brands have to be careful. They need to offer milk options that appeal to everyone, while also thinking about sustainability and ethics.
A lot to juggle, but I think cereal brands are up to the challenge. They've been innovating for a long time.
I agree. I'm excited to see what happens next with cereal and milk. It's going to be delicious, I'm sure.
Before we wrap things up, I wanted to mention a few more from the list. Waffle crisps, someone simply said, just like eating waffles. Amazing how a cereal can capture the essence of another food.
It shows how creative cereal developers are, always pushing the boundaries, trying to recreate our favorite foods in cereal form.
Culinary alchemists.
Exactly.
Another comment that stood out was about French Toast Crunch. Someone said, "The king has returned. I've waited years for this." So much passion.
That excitement when something you love comes back. It's powerful nostalgia, comfort, familiar flavors.
Like a reunion with an old friend.
Hmm.
And speaking of old friends, we can't forget cornflakes.
The original, the one that started it all.
Someone called them simple yet satisfying. Perfect description.
They're like a blank canvas plain with toppings and recipes. So many possibilities.
Sometimes simple is best. Okay, before we move on, there was one comment that was both interesting and a little concerning. It was about peanut butter and chocolate Cheerios.
Oh yeah, that limited edition one was pretty popular.
The person said, "I ate an entire box in one sitting. I regret nothing." Makes you wonder about, the addictive quality of some cereals and why we binge eat sometimes.
That's a great point. Something to think about. The psychology of food cravings, how marketing influences our eating habits, whether it's ethical to market certain foods to kids. All important topics.
Well, we could do a whole other deep dive on that. Okay, ready for our final segment?
Absolutely. What have you got for us?
So we've really gone deep on cereal here.
We have From the super sweet to the more health-conscious options.
From marketing tricks to that powerful nostalgia factor.
What really stands out to you looking back on all these cereals of what people are saying?
It's like cereal is this mirror reflecting our tastes, how they've changed, and even our deepest cravings.
But we've seen brands tapping into that psychology, the allure of the forbidden, like with Cap'n Crunch, or that comfort of nostalgia, like with Honey Nut Cheerios.
And cereal has broken free from just breakfast. It's a snack, an ingredient.
A cultural icon, even.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this. If you could create a cereal to capture like the essence of right now, what would it be like? What flavors, textures, what would it represent?
That's a great question. It would have to capture the essence of where we are now. Maybe something focused on sustainability, ethically sourced ingredients, eco-friendly packaging.
A cereal that's good for you and the planet. I love that.
Or maybe a cereal that's all about diversity, like a mix of flavors inspired by different cultures.
Ooh, a global fusion in your breakfast bowl.
Right. Imagine the packaging, all those vibrant colors. Maybe even some characters from different folk tales representing those cultures.
I love it. What about a cereal that taps into that desire for connection and mindfulness? Something with ingredients that help you focus, relax, maybe even start your day mindfully.
Brilliant. Maybe it even comes with a QR code linking to meditations or mindfulness exercises.
The possibilities are endless, really.
Absolutely.
So, listener, we challenge you. Get creative. What would your cereal for today be like? What story would it tell? What cravings would it satisfy?
Share your ideas. Who knows? Maybe your cereal will be the next big hit.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into the world of breakfast cereal. Thanks for joining us on this delicious journey.
We hope you've enjoyed exploring what's behind those colorful boxes and all that sugary goodness.
Remember, there's always more to uncover in every bowl.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, and most importantly, keep enjoying your cereal.